What's up? Dash Wars Live. We are in the house. I am Mike the Stick Slayer. I am chilling with comic book royalty, chilling with my main man, Tony the Signature King. What's up, my guy?
Hey, it is a start of a new year, and I am looking forward to this new convention season that is upon us.
Yes, so am I. And that's partially why we're here, Tony. We want to get everyone as prepared as possible for the con season. And last week we talked about all the different con previews and stuff like that. And that was fun. Went over the first quarter, pretty much the main popular cons for the first quarter of the year. And then we wanted to follow up this week and go over signature prices. And, and I had to bring you on because you're the Signature King and with the sixth layer. So, guys, I get a lot of DMs on IG asking about how much this person costs, how much that person costs, or what are the signature conditions and things like that. So we just wanted to just go live and talk about it. Before we get started, we want everyone to like and subscribe to our channels. Tony's channels in the description of this video right now. So please subscribe to the Signature King and subscribe to the Sixth Layer Station if you're on IG and not already, or if you happen to stumble upon this video, the algorithm's working for us. Great, let's do it. So, and then we're going to just, have a free-for-all stash war based on the highest tier. So we're gonna break this down into about 4 different tiers, Tony. And so the signature tiers, and I just want to just put this up. Do you pay for 6? Okay, because that's what we're talking about here. Do you pay for 6? If you do, you're in luck, because we're going to break down 4 different tiers of signature prices, because a lot of times they don't talk about it when you're looking at this, Tony, on the website. When you're looking at a different con or whatever, you're trying to investigate, you see the guest list, but you don't see how much the signatures cost, if any. And so some people, it might be your first time going to a show and you don't know how much a person costs. You may not even think that the person's free, right? But you don't know how much the budget, and then that impacts how many books you bring. And it could be a disaster if someone is way more expensive than you initially thought. That can really wreck your mood and kill the vibe. And so, Tony, I just want, before we unpack signatures, and please tell us in the chat if you pay for comic book signatures, because you're dealing with 2 of the most primo guys in comic book signatures, the Signature King here and Mike the Sixth there. So Tony, I want to get things started with you. When did you start collecting signatures, and why did you start collecting signatures?
2016, end of September 2016. It was the first comic book convention I ever went to my whole life in Baltimore. And I looked at the guest list. I didn't know anything about con etiquette or signature etiquette. I just saw someone, hey, they were on the list. Let me bring all the books I have from that person.
And so what made you want to get into signatures, though? Like, what was your...
I don't know. I just thought it was cool.
I had to get my iPad up so I can see what's up with IG, the folks on IG, because we're doing a simulcast on IG and YouTube. So I just wanted to make sure I could keep track of the comments in IG as well. So the Signature King can't recall when his kingdom started.
I know exactly when it started. 2016, September, Baltimore Comic Con. But I brought, like, Tom King's a great example. I didn't know that the etiquette was, you bring a couple books. I brought all of them. I brought every book by that person on the list. And it just happened to be before Tom King blew up. So he signed all my stuff for nothing. I was like, oh, that's probably when it bit me. It was like, okay.
So you got that bug. So you didn't know. Okay, so you're a perfect example. So 2016, you're a comic book fan. You want to get some stuff signed by a creator. You didn't really know how to start. You didn't know like how to prepare. And that's the very nature of tonight's live, is to really prepare you guys. And so we're going to break down all the 4 different tiers of signature pricing, because when you go to this next show, you're going to be prepared. Last week we talked about reps, and so there's some comic book creators that are repped by the various different rep companies, and we'll get into that a little bit. And by no means are we poo-pooing signature pricing, or we're not here to bash creators that get that charge for signatures. This is just a comprehensive price guide, so you guys know how much these guys cost, because you don't want to be, just stymied, because it happens. It happens a lot. It happens for me. It's happened to Tony, where we've been prepared to go to these shows, but not knowing the important information about how much things cost and stuff like that. So it's really a big deal. Okay, so Chimp the Reefer, I paid $120 for a Jim Lee Sig and his son Luke at Baltimore. You were there. Okay, so we were all at Baltimore. So Chimp the Reefer, we were all there too. And we're gonna get into that. So Chimp the Reefer, he dropped $120 for a Jim Lee, and that was, I think, the Friday. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that was Friday.
It was a Friday exclusive.
Yeah, and then Baltimore, the proper signing was Saturday, and obviously we were there. Just for me, just to give my background, I've been collecting comics for almost 20 years. Signatures. Okay, so I started off collecting graphic novels because reading floppies to me is kind of like, it's not even an episode, really. It's like, it just feels like a few moments, and then you have to wait another month for another few moments. So getting the graphic novels, I really got hooked. But then I went to my first Comic-Con, I want to say 04 or something like that. And I had Green Lantern Rebirth hardcover. And I went to a DC panel, and I met Jeff Johns for the first time. He signed it, and then he put a little like lantern on it, and he put "In Brightest Day." And ever since then, I've been hooked on signatures. And I was like, wait a minute, what, is this easy? I went to the convention floor and bought Green Lantern, the Green Lantern Rebirth #1, the floppy, and I came back. He was still there, and he signed that. And so since about 04, annually, I would prep, and we would go, me and some friends, we would go to San Diego Comic-Con religiously every year. I didn't go to all the shows like I do now. I would just go to San Diego, and all the SIGs were free. I didn't even think about people charging for signatures or anything like that. That wasn't even a concept. It wasn't even a reality. And I'm talking about big names, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane. Like, these are my opening salvos into this life. And so if you were brought up into San Diego Comic-Con culture, it is an absolute shock to your system to see how things operate from show to show, from coast to coast. So that, and then I got something in common with you too, Tony. I went on a little hiatus for a few years when my son was born. I had to hunker down and do the parent thing. But then the Sig Slayer came back. Dynamite, I came back in 2016. And it was a WonderCon. And this was when they made the announcement for the DC Rebirth Initiative. So DC Rebirth, the one shot, wasn't even out yet. They were just talking about the DC Rebirth one shot. Jeff Johns was talking about it, and he was talking about what the whole Rebirth imprint meant, and bringing back the very essence of the characters. And everyone was excited because, for the most part, I thought the initial launch of the Rebirth Initiative did kind of bring things back. I did kind of feel like it was the old DC again, and then it kind of spiraled out of control again. But the DC Universe Rebirth, that initiative, 2016, that was when the Sig Slayer was born. That's when I started to go to there's any show I can get into. That's what really started it all. 2016, as far as going to a bunch of shows, collecting more in volume, getting back issues, getting those signed, competing with myself. I got to break this record. All of these psycho games that you play when you're collecting, trying to beat an invisible opponent. Okay, that's why it's called Stash Wars Live. It's not that we're competing, Tony. We're competing against our own insanity. It's crazy. So that's a little bit of our history. I want to get into these signature prices, Tony, because I really do think that I would say about 2016-ish, that was really the advent of like the height of the popularity of signatures. Like in 2017 is when I first encountered comic sketch art, and that was new. In 2017, San Diego Comic-Con, Tom King was there, Joshua Williamson. They were kind of like that first batch of comic sketch art guys. And in the beginning, believe it or not, they were 3 free, and then whatever the price
I remember.
3 free, and then, right? So that was like,
that's still a good deal. That's still a good deal. Yeah.
Yes, especially if you're at Comic-Con 5 days, right? So that's 15 books, right? That's 15 free books, right? I thought they were saints. I was like, comic sketch art, these guys, they came from God. They're doing this because it was really this also coincided with when they were starting doing wristbands at shows where you have to do raffles to get signatures and stuff like that. So when comic sketch art first came out, that kind of undercut that, where you didn't really need the wristband anymore, and you could just go straight and get your 3 and be done. But then I didn't know at the time, silly old me, that was them getting us hooked on that platform. And then
just the taste.
It was just a taste, and then there's been others since then. But that's the game now. So now we have Artist Alley people, right, that kind of do it themselves, and then we have people that are repped. And usually what that means, Stash Fam, you don't know, and when you go to a show, you will see these sections of Artist Alley, and they kind of quarantine off with different banners and stuff, and then you go in line, and then they usually have a schedule, and everything's pretty much organized, right? You pay before you even meet the person. Like some people, you need a ticket after you pay. There's all these different conditions. So we're going to kind of go over that, and you will find out as we get higher and higher in price, you will see more of what I just described more prevalent in the whole process. So let's get started with tier 1. Okay, tier 1. Everybody knows these days, if you are a Sig Slayer like Tony and I, everyone knows that $10 is the new $5, right? $10 is the new $5, right? So back in 2017, $5 was normal. Now, pretty much the minimum is $10. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna shout out people like Patrick Gleason and Jeremy Adams. Those guys are $5. Okay, I didn't want to go through the whole process of putting $5 people up because, one, most people are $10, and hey man, good for you if the person's only $5. That's not highway robbery there. $5 signature is reasonable. So these 3 creators, we got Andy Kubert to the left, Joel Jones, and Scott Snyder. They kind of fall in that $10 to $15 range of signatures, but there's a lot more. Tony, name some people that are $10.
Peter J. Tomasi.
He was 10. I thought it was 5. I paid $5 in
he's 10 now.
He's 10?
He's 10 now.
Okay, so all right, Peter Tomasi's 10. Who else you paid $10 for?
Joe Pardo.
Oh, Joe Prado, the inker?
Yep.
He's $10?
He's 10.
Wow. Tony Daniels, $10.
Yep.
Jason Fabok is $10. And then just to rattle off a $15 one, Joe Rubenstein is $15 now. So, Joe Rubenstein is a legendary inker. So he's $15 now. Joelle Jones, I saw her in Baltimore, and she is $10. So that's great. And so that's pretty much the minimum. Let me rattle off some more. I believe I haven't seen Greg Capullo in 2024, but the last time I checked, he was $10. I guess Frank Cho is $10. Pretty much everyone's $10. Anybody else $10? We would have
Francis
named
Manipool.
Francis Monopool, $10. So that's the base price. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, $10. Mike DiCarlo, $10. I believe Walt Simonson's $10.
Dan Jurgens getting up there too.
Yeah, Dan Jurgens $10, but he's still one free.
Yeah, everybody gets one free. Yep.
So some of these people you might end up getting one free and then whatever their fee is, and that's great. Anybody that does one free, I think that you are really doing the comic god's work. You really are, because legit fans are in that line. By the way, I know there are people that resell and do retail, and they got to get in that line, and that's annoying. We've been there before, where we've been in a popular artist line, Tony, and then they'll sign just a bunch of an inventory of books before the regular population get their stuff signed, and we're waiting there. And so we know that happens, but for the most part, and I talk to a lot of people in line, they're fans. Have you met anybody in line that and you met a bunch of fans, right?
99% fans, yeah.
99% fans in these lines. And so doing one for free, I think that just go a long way, and I think you'll actually end up making more money in the long run.
Keeps the excitement alive,
Yes,
I'm all about paying my due to whoever I'm signing. If it's $5, bro, you probably deserve it. But anyone who gives anything away for free, double tip of the hat.
right?
You're a comic saint.
So Tony, you got any $10 cigs on you right now? You want to show?
$10 cigs, yeah. I got this really cool. Very cool. Peter J. Tomasi, because we talked about him being $10.
Right.
One of my long-term goals, I'm trying to get all the new 52 Zeros signed. I think it would be really cool just to do that. So we have new 52 Zero, Green Lantern Corps, Peter J. Tomasi.
Peter Tomasi. I dig it. I dig it, man. Peter Tomasi is one of my favorite writers. I think he's a really underrated writer. I love the fact that they're doing their thing at Ghost Machine. I got Rockefellers in my pool because I really dig Peter Tomasi's writing, and I also like Francis Monopool art. So I thought that was a match made in heaven. And so yes, and here's some mine. So I'm gonna show my $10 range right here. Okay, so here's Joelle. Okay. Joelle Jones, and she did that sick bat logo.
Wow.
This is her first Batman issue. Okay, so a little, you can steal this, guys. It's not like I invented it or anything, but I normally, if it's your first Batman issue you ever done in your career, I normally have them do the logo. That's why the logo's there, and it's kind of like watermarking. This is the first Batman issue you ever done in history, right? So that's what this is. Joelle Jones, to show some more Joelle Jones, because I'm a big fan of her work. And she did a lot of penciling in the current volume of Batman with Tom King. And then here's another $10 one. I have to rub this in your face, Tony. This awesome Batman #1. You guys know what's up with this. And then, I don't know, for the people that don't know, ask Greg Capullo for a Tom King special, and he'll laugh and say no. But that's what I got on this. He used to do these for free, these little bat remarks. He used to call them Tom King specials. This was done, I believe, in 2018. I got this signed by Greg Capullo, and then I got Scott Snyder. So they were both free. They were both free because I got this signed in San Diego. So one of the things that I wanted to mention, Stash Fam, is that one way to save money on signatures is to actually read comics, and your and the people that are kind of new and up and coming, those are the people that are normally free. Now this one is Scott Snyder. It got Andy Kubert on there. The only free sig on this is Danny Mickey. That's the one at the bottom. But all of these signatures, they were free too, but now they would be $10 a piece. Okay, so that's $30 right there just for this book to be signed. Okay, and then there we go. So that's all I have now. That's all I have. I just wanted to show a few in that tier. And Stats Fam, we're talking about tier 1. These are signatures that are $10 to $15. We're unpacking the signature pricing for Comic-Con. So when you're ready for MegaCon, you will be suited and booted and well executed. Okay, you will have your list. You're not going to overpack because you know how much these people are going to cost. And that's the whole point, because the worst thing in the world is overpacking for a show, especially when you travel. It's like a bunch of dead weight. Okay, especially just on a quick tangent, when you overpack and then you find out another creator was free and you could have used that space for their books. Like, that's the worst. That's the worst right there. So now we're gonna go to tier 2, and we got a comment. Let me see what the comment is. There we go. My man Mark in the comments. What up, the honorable villain? What up, baby? Yeah. So now we're gonna go slightly more expensive, Tony. Tier 2. So now we're talking about $20 to $40. Okay. And for the people that don't know these gentlemen, to the left you have the great Jerry Conway, the creator of The Punisher, Jeff Loeb, who's about to relaunch Hush with Jim Lee, and he already is in the middle of Long Halloween, the last Halloween. And then, who doesn't, you guys should know if you're watching this channel, the great Jeff Johns. Okay, so this is the $20 to $40 range. Okay, so Jerry Conway's $20, Jeff Loeb is $20. I think Jeff Johns is $30. I think he's a la carte, $30. This is tier 2. So if you're looking for people like this, I'm going to name off some other people that are $20. Joe Quesada is $20. So if you're going to see Joe Quesada at MegaCon, be prepared for $20 a sig. And so our question is, tell us in the comments, do you pay for SIGs? Do you pay for SIGs? Because that's what we're talking about. And right now we're in the $20 range, $20 to $40 range right now. And Tony, I have a question for you. Like, do you exist in this world, the $20 to $40 range?
I'm embarrassed to say how high up I go. But yeah, I've
hold on, I got some bad news real quick.
Joe's 35.
Correction. Joe is 35. Joe Quesada is 35. I'm scared because now I wanted to see him in Mega, and now I'm not anymore. But I'm sorry. You were saying do you exist in this world?
Yes. Like I said, I'm embarrassed to let everyone know how high up I go. But another good one, a very popular one, is Joshua Middleton exists in this realm, $20 to $40.
What'd you say? Joshua Middleton is $20?
Yeah. At Baltimore, he was supposed to go, but he couldn't make it because of the passing of Mr. Cassidy.
Right.
But he's 20 unless There's an exception. You are getting NYX signed, and then he goes to a few hundred. So be prepared.
Goes to what? Say that again. I didn't hear you.
A few hundred.
A few hundred
To get him to sign NYX, it'll cost you a couple $100.
Huh?
Yeah. His claim is because his signature adds a significant value to the book, so he's getting his cut, which I'm sure, fine, whatever. But yeah, he is not one to be messed with when it comes to NYX signatures. But it's all cash, of course.
Tell me in the comments if you have an NYX comic signed by Joshua Middleton. I did not know he was $20. Wow. I don't have a Joshua Middleton signature, and that's probably why I don't know. But wow, I don't know if I would go that high, but a few $100, that would be higher than anyone. Because even
it's
Miller,
just the one book. It's just the one book.
So yeah, so all right, so I
know that's another completely different category.
But you open that up, and we're going to talk about that later. But right now, I want you guys to tell us in the chat, how do you feel about when a creator has a base price for a signature, but then for a particular book, charge an exponential increase? You know, you just mentioned $20 to a couple $100 at least for NYX for Joshua Middleton. That's a big increase. So we're talking about right now, do you guys pay this much? Are you guys comfortable with this price range right here? 20 to 40 bucks. I'm trying to think of who else is $20 that I know that I would.
Dave Johnson is $20.
Who?
Dave Johnson.
Dave Johnson. Is this graded or just raw?
Raw.
Dave Johnson. You mean the Superman Red Son?
This Dave Johnson.
Hold up, man. Hold up, man. Because they're like, are they upcharging you?
Yeah.
No
Scott
way.
Hanna's
You
$20.
paid $20 for him? I just saw him.
Yeah.
Scott Hanna's 20. No way. I just saw him in Chicago. He was 10. No way he's upcharging that. So you saw him in Baltimore, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So from Chicago C2E2 to Baltimore, he increased his by $10. That's crazy. That is crazy. Chimp the Reefer don't like that. They're basically responding to the question of the whole upcharging over certain keys.
Well, I think also it comes down to venue. Like, what convention is it? Some conventions, like you said, you go to San Diego, they don't charge a dime. Then you come to Baltimore and it's $200. You know,
yeah, they're charging a bunch, man. So we're talking right now. Let us know in the comments if you're comfortable with this tier 2 signature pricing from $20 to $40.
I still think it's reasonable. Depends on who it is. Yeah, Jeff Johns, I'll pay $20 for him all day. He's one of my favorite people. I got no issue with it. Was happy enough to meet him for the first time. Still just keep thinking about it. I wish I had 10 minutes to just talk to Jeff Johns. That's all I want is 10 minutes.
Man, okay. So with that said, do you have any books that fit this price tier? So let Kat know.
Jeff Johns. I got this signed by Mr. Johns at Baltimore Comic-Con. Shazam #1 during his run of Shazam. I love Shazam. I love Jeff Johns. This is an absolute no-brainer for me. Came back at 9.8. Happy as a clam. So Jeff Johns, $20 all day. Easy.
All day easy. All day easy. Woo. Okay. Woo. Okay. So $20. Okay. $20. Okay. God dang it. Okay. Oh, I know. I forgot to mention someone that's $20. Jim Starlin is $20. Jim Starlin is $20. I did pay that at Baltimore because I had Death in the Family with Mignola on it, Mike DiCarlo on it, Jim Aparo on it. I'm paying that. So got up Death in the Family 4 times signed. Jim Aparo, Mike DiCarlo, Mike Mignola, and Jim Starlin. So Jim Starlin is $20. Here is an example of $20 signatures I have right here. We have a Jerry Conway. I'm showing this because Jerry Conway is going to be at MegaCon in a couple weeks. And so be prepared for $20, okay? I got this when he was 10. So the $20 thing started last year, 2024. You brought up Jeff Johns.
Man, inflation is so high, even his signatures are going up.
Yes, dude. This is the first floppy of Jeff Johns I ever got. This was free, so now he's $30.
That is a sick cover. That is an awesome cover.
This is double signed. You know, not many people have this book double signed. And then the other lit guys, comic books in-store signings, usually they're free. Okay. Yes. This one here, the Simone Bianchi at the bottom here, that was a $10 sig. But Jeff Johns is $30. Okay, hold on. Do I have any more? Yep, that's it. So I'll just show those again. So I love this. I love this issue. It's probably one of my single favorite issues of Green Lantern. And then, so these are $30. Okay. So Jeff Johns, if you're going to go ham, he's going to cost you $30 a sig now. And so we were talking about reps. So usually, like Jeff Johns, he's with Comic Sketch Art. Let's look at this. Let's look at this here. Okay. So let's look at here. So these people are repped, right? I don't know if Jerry Conway is repped. We might see who he's repped by during MegaCon. But traditionally, Jerry Conway had his own table, kind of like Chris Claremont does. But Jeff Loeb is with Essential Sequential, okay? And Jeff Johns is with Comic Sketch Art. So you will see their table situated in like a whole row of other Comic Sketch Art talent, as well as when you go over to Essential Sequential. I believe Dave Johnson is Essential Sequential as well. Then you will see a whole row of Essential Sequential. So before we move on to the next tier, I just want to recap. Jerry Conway is $20. Jeff Loeb is $20. Jeff Johns is $30. Hello, everyone. Does anyone know how much Delato will charge at MegaCon? Now, that's a great question. Are you going to be there, Tino 73? Are we going to meet in person, Tino 73? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? I'm hoping so. This is like the hope of the year, Tony, that Delato's $10. Delato's $10 at MegaCon. Libra Mayhew's $10 at MegaCon, and Jorge Jimenez is $10 at MegaCon. We need those $10 chucks to stay alive. But Delato, he is a super talented artist, very popular. I can see them doing that $20, but that would suck his first time in America to upcharge cats like that. So I hope that Delato will be $10 for starters. The question for you guys is, hey, do you guys pay for 6? Now, we went over 2 categories of 4, okay? So just to recap, we have a $10 to $15 tier. That's Andy Kubert, Joel Jones, Scott Snyder. Joe Rubenstein is $15, okay? Then you got people like Tony Daniel, that's $10. Jason Fabok, that's $10. Peter Tomasi is $10. Then we just covered the second tier, which is the $20 to $40. Jeff Johns is $30. Jeff Loeb is $20. Jerry Conway is $20. But then there's people like Joe Quesada, that's $35 now. Okay. So know that. Or Jim Starlin is $20 a signature. So these OGs, if these people did OGs with keys, as I like to say, they're probably going to be, they're probably going to be $20 a sig. Okay. OGs with keys, meaning if they got keys in the pretty much now 90s on back, right? So 90s on back. If you alive and you made Bronze Age books, odds are you're going to charge at least $20, at least $15. So we're going over signature prices. Let us know in the comments, do you pay for SIGs? Because that's what we're talking about. We're getting you ready for this first quarter of con season. And as you know, as we just mentioned right now, that we're talking about this beginning part of the year. Because as we just talked about with Dave Johnson, he was $10 in Chicago, and then Tony paid 20 in Baltimore of the same year. Okay.
Same year.
Same year. So these prices are subject to change, but I will put my rep on the line and say, at least for MegaCon and these shows in the next couple weeks, they're gonna be status quo. We're talking about status quo. Now we're on to tier 3. And this is where I want to see where the Signature King is going. Like, do you exist in this world, Your Highness? See, this is tier 3. $50 to $60. Stash fam, do you pay this much for signatures? $50 to $60?
It's a lot.
Tony. Do you exist in this world, Tony?
I do. I wish I didn't, but hey, once you're addicted, you're addicted.
Okay. So it begs the question. What do you have for us?
I have a Jim Lee, who I also met 2024, first time ever. Super nice guy. Whoever handled that line and coordinated that whole thing, hats off. That's how it should be run 100% of the time. 100% of the time.
That was the best awesome experience. I mean, it was expensive, but that Jim Lee line, I felt like I was VIP. It was great.
Yeah, I felt good. I did. I felt good. The line was fast, and I spoke to Jim Lee and I got a picture with him. So, heck yeah. That was awesome. I'll absolutely do that again all day long.
So Mark is saying Sienkiewicz is worth it.
Yeah. But,
okay, so Jim Lee. So what you got for us, Jim Lee?
I got Suicide Squad Rebirth #1 foil convention exclusive, signed right up at the top in gold.
Right.
Jim Lee, who did the a lot of work on this book. So I was like, man, I meet Jim Lee. I got to make this one count. So I tried to get as many foil convention exclusives as I get my hands on. I was like, I got to bring them all.
The Royal of Foils. Hello.
The Royal of Foils.
So all right. So Jim Lee, I have to say that Baltimore was the first real time I splurged and bought Jim Lee 6. The Burbank Batman at the bottom, as you see in this graphic, that was one of the books. I had to get that signed, and Jeff Loeb was there too. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to get one book signed, I might as well get my most coveted Jim Lee stuff signed that I have left. And so I just wanted to show just some examples. Well, I'm not showing the books that I got signed at Baltimore, but I'm showing you guys all examples of Jim Lee books that you probably want to get signed. That's going to cost you about $60. So here we go. Well, first off, before I even go there, we talked about price hikes. Andy Kubert is $60 for Batman 666. Okay. So this book here is a $60 signature. Okay. So if you have this and you're a huge Batman fan, you want to see Andy Kubert, $60 for this. $60 for this. Okay. Now, Adam Kubert is $10. He don't care about this. This is not his book. This is a cover. But Andy Kubert is charging $60 for this. This is Batman 655, the first appearance of Damian Wayne. And this book is $60 if you want Andy Kubert right now. And here's the standard cover. This book is $60 now. Now, did I pay $60 for this? No, I didn't. I got this for free, but these are books that are $50 to $60. Here's another one. Hold on, let me check this comment real quick. Mark said, well, let's see this. I only collect Jim Lee, and it was my first time meeting him too. The Friday signing only had 15 people in line, so it was well worth the price, in my opinion. Man, yeah, the line when they're short like that, you get that kind of QT time with Jim Lee, and sometimes it's worth it, especially if you're East Coast head. Jim Lee lives in California, so you got to just get what you can get. Sometimes beggars can't be choosers in that regard. Now, this I want to show a $50 signature. Okay, this is Bill Sienkiewicz. He is $50 now. Now, I remember once upon a time in the old days of 2018 in the Frontier, in the Little House on the Prairie era, right? Bill Sienkiewicz was one free, then $10. Then he went to 10. Then he went to 20. And then as of last year, he's $50. Bill Sienkiewicz, $50. This is his most iconic Batman cover. Here has a bunch of legends on it. Now, I got this. Oh, shout out to Crafty Comics with their clear boards. I love them. I love this book because it has that this is the Virgin cover before the Virgin cover, the back cover, right? It has a bunch of legends on here, but Bill Sienkiewicz was the first person to sign this. He's $50 now. Oh, I lied. Here's a Jim Lee. This is a Jim Lee that I got at Baltimore. That I got signed at Baltimore. I got this one. I had to get this one to homage other Jim Lees. This is Jim Lee's first ever Batman cover. And this is signed with Bruce Timm, Howard Chaykin, and Scott Williams. And then boom, Hush, 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 hurry, get those Jim Lees. Okay, so look, tell me in the chat. Tell me right now. Hold on. There's a comment here. Met Jeremy Adams at Toronto Comic-Con last year. Near the beginning of his Green Lantern run, and was able to talk to him for about 20 minutes and had him signing Flash issues. Okay, since you mentioned Jeremy Adams, Mini Yeats, we dropped the interview with Jeremy Adams on this channel today, talking about Green Lantern Corps, Aquaman, and Flash Gordon. So that's maybe like a few hours ago we dropped that. So if you're a Jeremy Adams fan, after this live, check that out. It's an awesome interview. But Stash fan, do you have every issue of Hush 5 times signed by everybody, including the legendary letterer Richard Starkings? Are you kidding me? I have everyone signed.
Jeez.
By everybody. All issues of Hush signed by all 5 members of the creative team. Let me know if you pimp this hard. Let me know if you pimp this hard.
I think you stand alone, man. I think you do.
Jeremy Adams, one of the best writers out there. Check out Six Layers interview. There we go. That's my man right there. 5-time sign. Hush is 12 issues long, and I have other issues. I have other covers of this, but I just wanted to go Jim Lee overload on you guys real quick to let you guys know, hey, it's 6 Layers for a reason, okay? We got a bunch of interviews. We got the process with David Byrne. We got Doug Mankey animations and stuff. But at the heart of this channel, as Tony, the Signature King, knows, it's all about slaying signatures, okay? Getting these books signed by the best in the business. The question that I want in the chat to answer is, do you pay for 6? Do you pay for 6? Oh, I'm getting props. That's impressive. There we
It's
go.
very impressive.
The Six Slayer. Okay, that's what we do here. That's if you like that, every show you're gonna see impressive stuff because I'm gonna invite people that got crazy ass collection. That's what we
Oh, here you
about.
go. This is yours. You can have it, man.
Oh no. I'm a mere pauper. I'm a mere pauper. Okay, but okay, so I just to recap, do you pay for 6, right? There's these tiers right here. There's these tiers right here. You know, do you pay $10 to $15 for a SIG? Is that your limit? Is that how far you will go? Or are you willing to go up to $20 to $40? MegaCon is coming up. Okay. MegaCon, Jerry Conway is $20. Okay. Jeff Johnson's $30. Be prepared. Are you Big Willie style paying $50 for Bill Sienkiewicz on the left? $60 a la carte for Jim Lee? And then Adam Kubert is normally 10, but if you want that Batman 655 and whatever that X-Men where Magneto rips the adamantium out, that's another $60. The first appearance of Gambit is $60. Okay, and Batman 656 is $60, and Batman 666. Okay. That is also $60 by Adam Kubert. Normally he's $10, but those keys, as I mentioned, G's with keys, they are going to upcharge. And so be ready for that. We want you guys to be prepared for these shows. Now, this next one, I'm curious, guys. I'm curious about. This is the highest tier in comics. Besides that Joshua Middleton, Tony, I didn't know he was charging that much.
That's its own category.
That is insanity. Let us know if you got a signature from Joshua Middleton, the Knicks that you're talking about, that famous Knicks cover, right?
Yep, NYX, yeah.
Let us know if you have that, and did you pay an arm and a leg and 2 kidneys for it? We would like to know. No shame. We just want to know if you're that dedicated, if you're that insane.
I'm sure there were some people before it blew up got lucky, before it was just a book at one point.
And that's the key right there. So if you want to save money on signatures, guys, well, one, it pays to read the comics. Well, yeah, you need money, but it pays to read the comics too, because a lot of times people like us, we kind of disregard a lot of the stuff. Well, we get stuff, we get pulls, but like real high roller collectors, they're not really reading comics like that anymore. Not really. They're getting keys or they're getting art. They're doing a bunch of stuff. We're some of the few, right? And so what I'm saying, if you're reading the comics, you might like something that no one's really liking right now. And when you meet that person at a show, boom, they might sign that for free because no one's really expecting them. Now, if it's a household name, that's a different story. But if you're reading stuff from, titles and your favorite stuff, like it doesn't matter if it's on a top 10 list or not. If you read your favorite stuff, odds are a couple of those people are going to be some unknown people or not as popular, and you can get SIGs on that. It doesn't always have to be the writer, but a member of the creative team, because you have to understand it takes at least 5 people to make a comic book, and sometimes 4 of the, they're digital or whatever, but traditionally speaking, 5 people. All right, enough rambling. Here's tier 4. So this is the unknown. Okay, now I want you guys to know. So I'm not saying this is Frank. This is Frank Miller, by the way. So people that don't know, that's Frank Miller, legendary creator, legendary cartoonist. I mean, this dude got keys on keys on keys. Wolverine. He has Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, Elektra. I mean, Ronin, so much stuff. Sin City. He's done it all. I'm hearing through the grapevine that Mr. Miller is $80 to $100. It depends. Okay. Now, I think my last friend who I believe saw him at the Fan Expo in San Francisco in November, I believe Frank Miller was $80 a signature. So a la carte. Now on the right, ladies and gentlemen, I have CGC signings. Okay. So that's a whole category in itself. Okay. So all these price tiers that we reviewed are for raw books. This does not include the encapsulation, nor does it include the witnessing. So that's why I have a different tier, because CGC, a lot of times, if you're getting one of these guys like Frank Miller, right? You get a SIG and then you get it witnessed, it's going to be $100 plus for one signature. If you get Jim Lee and you do a mail-in signing, right, where they do the CGC thing where everyone goes to Florida and sign till they get carpal tunnel, you're going to pay $100 plus if you want Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alice Sinclair on there. It's going to be well over $100. Okay, so that tier alone, so graded SIGs, it's a whole beast within itself. We're talking about the collectors that don't really care about encapsulation or, stuff like that, where you just want to know the base price. But there's a lot that can go into getting signatures slabbed, because you might even go through a facilitator, right? And then there's an upcharge on top of that, right? So like you got your, what CGC charges, what the artist charges, and then you have what the middle person charges. So you're talking about well over $100. So so my question to you, Tony, let me just show you this tier again. We're at 80 to a hundo. Has that ever been your world?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's raw.
Raw?
And it's raw. And there's a couple of them. There's more than one.
More than one. Okay. All right. So I'm putting you on the big screen, dog. Please elaborate on this, because I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
So there are, unfortunately, a lot of these people who charge this level, they've been in the game a long time, and their stuff is, it's very valuable, and they know it. And a lot of them, like I said, are older, so to them, I don't know, maybe it's a mindset. Like I know a lot of older people might have had family that were influenced by the Great Depression, that are
right
up there in age. So to them, it's like, I gotta get as much as I can, as quickly as I can. It's not their fault. But coming back to it, if you recall, Neil Adams charged. He started off at 75 when I met him, went all the way to 100 towards his later years, and that's what I did. I paid the man $100 to sign this bad boy. Right down here at the bottom.
Yeah.
So this one cost me $100 raw. Ooh. No witness. Had to fork over $100 just for Neil Adams. Another one on here. Len Wein.
Who?
Len, Mr. Wein. Len Wein.
Was it $100?
It was $100, and he's on here somewhere. I can't tell because it's usually black on black. Right here. Superman's leg, right here. Really hard to tell. Right on the leg. Black on black. $100.
Wow.
And I had gotten this book also signed. I inherited this book signed by one person, Dick Giordano.
Okay.
And that was
so. Show me what did Dick Giordano SIG at?
Giordano, gosh, he's up here somewhere. Klaus Johnson. I think he's right here in the middle. I think right here in the middle.
Oh, I see him.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. It's a pretty dark cover, and everybody used Sharpie back, and still do. They just use regular black Sharpie.
Still the best marker. Still the best marker.
Undefeated.
Black Sharpies are undefeated. Don't try to get too cute with those metallics and paint markers.
Yeah, but keep it classy for sure. So this book is full of signatures we've already talked about. Your $20 tier, your $10 tier, your $40 tier. This book literally has every tier from free. It even has free signatures on it to our current God level tier.
that Neil with the deal tier, man. That's,
yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, Neil. Wow. Okay,
it's Neil Adams. It's tough to argue against it, really.
Neil Adams, I would have to say, is probably my favorite Bronze Age artist and my number one personality. Neil Adams, he was great. Long story short, Neil had a shop in Burbank, California called the Krusty Bunker. Shout out if the Krusty Bunker is watching this. Right there on Magnolia Boulevard. And so it opened, I want to say, in 2019, early 2019, right? And so he would come over. He came over for the grand opening. At this point, Neil Adams was $60 a signature. Okay. This is in 2019. But because he was trying to get business at his store, he said, I'll do the first one for $10. And then each additional one is 60 bones. So guess what I did? This was in my hometown, Burbank, right? I called every favor. I'm talking about homies from all around town, people I knew that lived by the Krusty Bunker. I was like, hey, man, you want to eat lunch? Hey, man, I'll buy you lunch.
It's a lot cheaper than $60.
Dude, so I gave everybody, I had about 6 or 7 people and I did it in trips. He was there like 3 days, so I did it like in 3 different stints. But the first time I had 7 people with me, and I gave them all 10 bones, and I got hate signed. Like man, it was crazy. It was crazy. That was one of the coolest times. But Neil Adams is one of my favorite personalities. We are talking about signatures, guys, and we are talking about this top tier here. Do you pay $80 for a signature? The Signature King says, hell yeah. Lynn Wein, Neil Adams, shut your mouth. Okay? And then you got Frank Miller here. Let me know. Your MegaCon, Frank Miller will be at MegaCon this year. He's on the bill. Are you paying $80 for him or $100 for him? Let me know. And okay, if you say yes to that, if you say yes to hell yeah, I'm getting Frank Miller SIGs for $100 or $80, let me know. Let us know, what are you getting signed? What are you getting signed by Frank Miller for $80 to $100? That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And then we have the CGC signing here. So that's to let you know that some of the people at the lower price tiers, if you add on the CGC pricing and all of that, it might add up to $80 to $100. Okay, for one signature. Okay, so you got to really evaluate that. Is it worth it? All right, is it worth it? Like for me, I'm raw dog all day. You know, I come from the ODB school of raw books. Okay, and so that's how I roll. So here's what I'm going to show. Okay, the answer for me is no. I never paid $100 for a signature. The most money I paid for a signature was at Baltimore for Jim Lee. And that's because I've been getting free Jim Lees for almost 20 years. So, you know, so I was like,
dude, pay the man.
Yeah, I was like, I'll pay, you know, whatever, dude. And I got the Burbank signed, got a couple other gems signed. But want to talk about Frank Miller. Here is a hilarious Frank Miller story, because I have Frank Miller's. Okay. And guess what? This is Frank Miller's with Jim Lee. Frank Miller with Jim Lee. Okay. This is All-Star Batman and Robin, #1. This book didn't even finish. They didn't even finish this joint. but I love this cover. The Jim Lee Sigs was free. I got this in like 08, signed in 08, I think. Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Alice Sinclair, the Gradient General, the Sultan of Shade, Alice Sinclair. I probably got more books signed by Jeff Johns and Alice Sinclair than anybody on earth. And this was the beginning of Alice Sinclair, that tirade. This book here, Jim Lee, but then you see Frank Miller. Let me see this. Hold on. This book. There we go. Everything is backwards on this. There's Frank Miller right there. And then there's Frank Miller there. Now, for the people that know about San Diego Comic-Con, right? There's the infamous, let me just check these comments. There's the infamous, Miller's my favorite. Mark, tell us in the comments how much Miller was. How much was Miller in San Francisco Fan Expo? How much was that? I want to know about that. All right. So if you're San Diego Comic-Con, you heard about the infamous Hall H. Hall H is like where all the movie premieres and all. That's where Robert Downey Jr. revealed that he was going to be Doom and all that jazz. Now, one year they were announcing a movie called The Spirit that Frank Miller directed, right? So guess what? Crazy old Mike one year, I don't know how I snuck backstage, past the security, past everybody. I crawled under the stage in Hall H. I crawled with these two books in my hand. And when I got up on my feet, I was literally behind Frank Miller by like not even 3 inches. And he thought it was a curtain. It was not supposed to be anybody behind him. He thought it might as well would have been a wall because no one should have been behind him. So my big ass, erected and got up and boom, and tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around. I think I almost killed him. He was so scared. He was not expecting. And then so like after he caught his breath, I go, "Would you sign my All-Star Batman and Robin for me?" And then he was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine, right?" So I see Frank Miller a couple years, well, not a couple years, almost 10 years later at Torpedo Con. This was right after the pandemic. So Torpedo Con in LA was the first convention after the pandemic. It was a public show for everyone. It was actually a great time. Okay, so I was right. Miller's $80. Miller's $80. Okay, all right. So I thought I was right about that. So Miller, I got Miller on this, and this has got Miller, Jim Lee, Brian Azzarello, a bunch of heads. But Frank Miller, this was the last time Frank Miller was 50. So I sold all my basketball cards, and I got all my keys signed because I was like, I got to get Frank Miller on these joints. I mean, come on, man. You guys already know what's up with this. So $50 is the most I paid for a signature. That was Jim Lee, because when you bought them in bulk, it was more like $50 a signature versus 60. This is 50 at Torpedo Con. And as you see on the graphic, I just wanted to show this one in person. I really love this one. This one came out so clean. Okay, so yeah, everybody on this was free but Frank Miller. Okay. Got Jim Lee at a DC booth. Scott Williams, Al Sinclair, Artist Alley. But Torpedo Con 2021, the first ever Torpedo Con, this is the last SIGs from Frank Miller. Let me know what you guys think about this book. I think this book is freaking awesome. I think the SIG placement, I think he did his thing with this one. So yeah, so that's our creme de la creme. We kind of did the stash war at the same time as everything else. I kind of wanted to blend them all together. But Stash Fam, we wanted to give you guys the tier. So just a quick recap. We're going over signature pricing. At Andy Kuber's $10. Joel Jones, $10. I believe Scott Snyder is still $10. I would be surprised in MegaCon if he goes to 15. If he hasn't already.
Or 20.
Or 20. Or 20. Absolutely right. Then we got the 20 to 40 range. Jerry Conway's $20. Jeff Loeb is $20. Jeff Johns is $30. Joe Quesada is $35. Jim Starlin is $20. I believe Michael Golden is $20. So there's a lot. Like I said, OGs with keys, they're probably going to be $20. I wouldn't be like you said, Signature King. I wouldn't be surprised if Snyder or Capullo is 20 by the next time they make it public. Then we got the $50 to $60 tier. Bill Sienkiewicz is $50. Jim Lee is $60 a sig. But if you do his little package thing, it ends up rounding out to being about 40 to 50. And then Andy Kubert is $60 for certain books, like Batman 655, Batman 656, Batman 666. And I'm not a big Marvel fan, but the adamantium removal issue is what I'm going to call it. That issue, where Magneto takes Wolverine's adamantium, that's $60, as well as the first, let's just say, cover appearance of Gambit, because his first appearance is always debated. So let's just say Gambit's first cover appearance is $60, because Kubert did that for sure. And then Frank Miller is $80, just confirmed by Mark the Honorable Villain. He was just there. Mark is asking how much was Neil Adams. Neil Adams, the last time you saw him was $100, right, Tony?
100 bones.
100 bones. And so it's looking like Frank Miller is going into that territory. He's $80, and this was in November of 2024 at Fan Expo San Francisco. And so I'm going to go on a limb and say he's probably going to have that same price point at MegaCon in February this year. But as I stated earlier, if you're getting your book slabbed, it's most likely going to be $80 to $100 for per sig. Okay. There are those exceptions. You obviously have a cheaper price point or free, you may save costs. But as I mentioned before, if you're doing mail-ins, there's all these added fees. It usually ends up round about $80 to $100. And that's just for one sig. It could go up from there. Tony, we showed all of our stuff. What's your favorite book? What's your favorite book that you showed tonight? So we saw.
Gosh, easy. It's got to be Heroes Against Hunger, just because of the absolute legends that are on here. A lot of them no longer with us anymore, unfortunately, and the ones that aren't getting any younger. So it's this to me. This isn't just a comic book signatures on it. This is a piece of comic book history, and I love it.
I gotta agree. It is comic book history, because all of those names. You got like a who's who.
I even have a George Perez on here. A George Perez.
Oh, okay. So you want to show a George Perez? You know what? I so happen to have a George Perez here too. That Bill Sienkiewicz. That Bill Sienkiewicz was here we go. This Bill Sienkiewicz here has George Perez on it as well. This is the last time I saw George Perez right there. Or there he is, right there. George Perez, and has Rick Leonardi, a bunch of other heads on there. Art Adams. Yeah, man. Like, I would say this is up there, one of the books that I like the most, but this here is probably my favorite book ever.
Yeah, that's
my first ever Green Lantern. R.I.P. Carlos Pacheco. Got this signed. It took me years to get this. This book finished. It took from 2005 to 2010 to finish, to complete.
Wow.
So this took a while, but this is signed by everybody that's on the cover. So Jeff Johns, Carlos Pacheco, Ethan Van Sciver, and Jesus Marino, all for free. This is Sunday. Oh, and then I got Peter Steigerwald on there. I take that back. No, Steigerwald signed this in 2019. So from 2005 to 2019, this book. This is how long it took. So that's probably my favorite book here. And then, yeah, so let us know in the comments. Let me see if there's a comment here. There we go. Yeah, damn, you like that shit. I'm telling you, man, Six Slayers, man, we you know, he's showing you a million legends on one, and then I'm showing you my first ever floppy that I ever got signed. And it's signed by everybody, and that's my favorite run, and it's not even close. It's not even close. So, yeah, so be prepared. So to wrap this segment up, be prepared when you go to these shows to spend at least $10 a signature. I didn't want to go over the $5 ones because you would be lucky if you find someone that you really admire still charging $5 or better yet, free. And for that matter, I am going to shout out some people that are free. So Doug Banky's free, I think, still.
Yeah.
So if you see him, let him have it. Brian Michael Bendis is free still.
I got beef with that guy.
so let Brian Michael Bendis have it. He's free.
Yep.
I want to say James Tynion, the fourth, he's 3 free, then $10.
Wow, good for him.
So he still draws the line at 3 free. And I believe James Tynion will be at MegaCon. So that's a good look. So 3 free, then $10 after that. So that's great. And then, you know, most inkers are free. Most color artists are free. You know, if you're trying to be a completionist and you got the penciler and the writer already on the book, and you want that, you know, you want to look large in a charge and put all of that, you know, all of the creative team on the cover, you can do that. Most of that talent, Scott Williams is 1 free, $10. So he's an inker, but he's not free. And Joe Rubenstein already mentioned he's 15. So the legend.
Joe Stanton is another one.
What's he, 15 or 10?
He's 1 free, $5 each.
Okay, so that's great. Like that is fantastic, actually, because he has a lot of keys, and I didn't know that until I was actually doing my research just before Baltimore, and I didn't realize I had a big amount just dedicated for Joe Staten, and I'm glad. And on that note, oh my Jeebus, we are great. Speaking of that, Joe Staten will be on the Six Layer station next week.
What a segue.
What a segue. What a segue. We are interviewing the legend, Joe Staten, next week on Six Layers. Just want to put that up. What a great segue. If you haven't subscribed to the Six Layers station and you're a comic book fan, you should do it now, because we got a lot of great content almost daily, about 6 days a week. We got interviews every week. We interviewed Jeremy Adams today. We have a nice, funny, the most funny Wonder Woman story by Daniel Warren Johnson dropping tomorrow. So check that out. And we have the legend, the creator of Kilowall, the true co-creator of Guy Gardner, along with Steve Englehart, obviously. Joe Staten with us. And that's just a tip of the iceberg of this man's accomplishments, but he will be on the Six Layer station. As always, David Barron and the process. We have David Barron do these awesome coloring process videos. And this week we actually had a behind the scenes preview of Batman Off-World 6. That doesn't even come out until next month. and you get to see David color a page from Batman Offworld. That's Doug Mankey. That's Jason Aaron taking Batman in space. And so that's available right now. So you can see that right after the live. But every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, we have David Barron. And just to show you guys what we have in store for next week, this is what we have in store for next week. We have, hang on, let me get this banner out the way. There we go. We got Hank Howard, the Pizza Detective. And this is by Miko Suyan. I can never pronounce his name, but this dude is a fabulous artist. You guys know who he is. Hank Howard, Pizza Detective. This is what the process is going to be about next week. David Barron is a 30-year vet, Wildstorm, DC Comics, and Indies. And he has a show on the Sig Slayer station called The Process. This is next week's episode. Tomorrow, we have this, the most hilarious Wonder Woman story by Daniel Warren Johnson. This is dropping tomorrow. You don't want to miss this. I guarantee you crack up. You're going to crack up. So, yes, man, that's all for our show, guys. As I mentioned before, please subscribe to both of our channels. The Signature Kings is right in the description, so you can tap that link and subscribe to this channel. And please, if you stumbled upon our live on IG or YouTube for the first time and you enjoyed yourself, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have content almost daily, okay? I didn't even mention before I bounce, where is it at here? There we go. Before I bounce, I got to show you guys this. This is also what we have in the channel. If you're a big fan of Doug Mankey, we have Doug Mankey Animations. This is the official YouTube home for Doug Mankey. And you can see here, we have a bunch up already to check out. Every Tuesday, we're dropping new animations. And then we're going to drop widescreen animation. This is my favorite one right here. I love this one. This Red Hood short by the creator of the Red Hood. I love it. Check all the stuff out, fam. I guarantee you, you guys will enjoy the content on the Sig Slayer station. Tony, thank you so much for joining us, man. You know, I love having these assembly meetings with you, talking about signatures. Any final thoughts?
No, keep slinging. Looking forward to see you guys at the on the convention circuit. And hey, I forgot to mention earlier, giving stuff away on my channel. So stay tuned. I got some books coming from CGC. I'm just gonna give them away.
So you're giving away graded books on your channel?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So please hit that link. Tony the Signature Kings. The Signature King is in the description. He is giving away graded books, and this dude don't play around. So please subscribe to both of our channels. Well, that's all for our show, guys. We have fun. This is Stash Wars Live. We'll be back next week at our normal time, Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Central. Please subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be unpacking more stuff signature related, as well as details in the whole comic book world. And as always, we will have a Stash War. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much. Peace.